All right, thank you. All right, so with that, welcome everybody. Thank you all for taking time and welcome to the quarterly meeting for the ABLE committee. The minutes were sent out beforehand, so I'll give everybody just one more minute to review those, and then I would entertain a motion to approve them. All right, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Hey, this is Joe. I motion to approve the minutes as presented.
All right, do I have a second?
I second it.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so we will roll into our director's report from Fran.
That's great. Thank you, Grant. So just a couple of overviews here. Excuse me. We've been slowly kind of re-entering the real world as a lot of us have. And that has come with some very good opportunities for connecting and building some relationships with organizations throughout the state. Specifically, Chris attended a virtual conference back in April. That's the Disability Rights Arkansas Conference. And he made a lot of really good contacts with not only attendees, but some of the other organizations that were involved in that, and has followed up with some of those groups to try to get in front of them for future presentations to the families that they serve. And another conference, and this was actually the first in-person conference that we've attended since I've started, and it was the Developmental Disability Provider Association conference, and that was very, very well attended. And there was a lot of interest in the ABLE plan with some of the groups that were there, and specifically the Independent Case Management Group, a new company coming into the state called CareSource, the Elizabeth Richardson Center in Northwest Arkansas, and also Civitan Services. So we are being very strategic and following up with a lot of these groups to try to get in front of them, either personally or virtually, whatever works best. And then in addition to meeting with them, asking them to please include ABLE if it's not already on their website as on their resource page. Another group that I'm following up with is next week will be with the Arkansas Autism Outreach Center. I'm meeting with Diana Verdi, who's the executive director, and just want to really work on that relationship, especially with the fact that autism is the #1 disability that our ABLE clients or ABLE families have. In terms of professional development, our staff is in the process of attending some sessions that are being offered by Treasury Management Training Symposium this week on ABLE. Includes like best practices, partnering with employers to increase enrollment in ABLE accounts and foster kids, and how to reach those in the rural parts of the state. So we're learning some good information there. We also continue to remain active in the National ABLE Alliance, and Chris, I've got to give him a shout out. He took the lead on one of the projects that the Alliance took on, which was creating a satisfaction survey, and then also, or updating a satisfaction survey, and then also a survey on account closures. So basically asking, new account owners what the process was like, and then also finding out if people closed an account, why they closed the account. And that is information that will now start being reported to us as well as other members, other states in the Alliance, which there are about 16 or 18 on a monthly basis. So we'll be getting that information on a regular basis, which will be very helpful. And then he also assisted with the changes being made to the ABLE brochure. So Chris has been very, very busy, and I've really appreciated his efforts in working with the Alliance there. One final thing, our legislation, you may recall, we talked about our ABLE legislation at our last meeting that was co-sponsored by Julie Mayberry and Senator Mark Johnson. And that was signed by the governor. And just as a reminder, this will allow ABLE to be added to the payroll deductions for state employees for those who choose it. And then also offer the same carry forward that the 529 legislation allows for. And then last, we did open our money market account. So we do have an administrative account now that's open with First Security Bank. And this is where the deposit fees where we will deposit fees, our fees from the ABLE accounts that we have. Are there any questions about anything that I brought up? Okay.
All right, thank you, Fran. So that last part is kind of exciting, new, and glad we kind of have it set up. We still need to get Secretary Gillespie's signature for the signature card on that at some point. But we did go ahead and open up the administrative account with Treasurer and Joe as signers at this point. But now that we have an administrative account, we are looking at various little opportunities to spend some of that for marketing purposes. You were sent out a review of the checks and invoices that we have paid, but I'll let Fran kind of go into that, explain, review those.
Yeah, and it was just the one, it was for the creation of a really nice new table cover for the ABLE plan, and we were able to use it at that conference that I mentioned. And it's just something that I think we'll definitely be using more of in the future. So if I could just ask for an approval of the $250 or $248.78 table cover for ABLE.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the checks and invoices as presented?
It's Joe again. I move to approve the checks and invoices as presented.
Do I have a second?
This is Christy. I second it.
All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So now we will roll into the meat of the meeting, and that's the report and update from Dave Ponder with a census.
Yeah, I think Don's going to give the update, and I think that Grant, you wanted to touch on the fee issue at some point. I don't know if you want to incorporate that in this conversation, but Don's going to give an update on the reporting, and then we can talk about the fee issue.
Yep.
Okay, just bear with me while I share the report. All right, so as you can see, as of month end May 2021, within the Arkansas ABLE plan, we have opened 131 accounts, and a total of 144 of those accounts have also been closed. We still see, by a small margin, accounts being opened online versus in paper. And we've had a very good year regarding contributions, offset by withdrawals. And year to date, we have had a positive of $640,000 being added into the ABLE account. Does anybody have any questions on this?
So what's, when you're looking at the 144 closed, what's the driver behind that?
Let me see if that is in here. Just bear with me. I apologize.
Oh, this is, I'm sorry. I see the note down at the bottom. That's the Arkansas Promise. Yeah. Okay.
Correct. Yeah, that is still impacting the plan quite a bit right now. But we should see it evening out. As you can see, for April and May, it's only been 9 accounts.
Okay.
So, okay. For the account type, we have a lot opened by parent guardians at 44%. Self-managed is at about 43%, with only 12% being 94 of those accounts having an authorized individual. So we do see quite a number of accounts that have opened them themselves, but we do also see that parents are still opening accounts as well on a good clip. Investments. As you can see, the checking option is right up there, but the moderate option, so these are the mutual funds, is the highest amount of assets within the plan at 35%, with the checking option being $490,000 currently. Money is constantly moving in and out of this checking option, and I'll go into that a little further into this report, but there is a lot of movement of money going in and out. But as of the snapshot on May 31st, this is what the plan looks like. Accounts and assets by eligibility. So since inception, we've had 813 accounts opened based on Social Security income benefits. And then there is the disability certification in second, and then finally is the disability benefit. We see the same thing for the assets as well, with people on SSI having $1.1 million in assets in the plan. And that's just over 50% of the accounts that are in the plan. We go into the next one is account and assets by disability type. We still see a large number in the developmental disorders, including autism. 195 accounts of those are currently funded. Since inception, we've had 408 accounts established. Right after that would be the intellectual disability, and then psychiatric disorders in third. So the next one is accounts that have had the checking option $2 monthly fee waived. 60% of the accounts listed in the checking option are having the $2 monthly fee waived. And that is broken down by just over half have elected e-delivery, and about 100 of them have an average balance over $250. And then there's about 159 that have not selected electronic delivery and do not have an average balance over $250. Checking option transactions. So we do see quite a few withdrawals being done, with the biggest one being the debit card. So as you can see, there is a lot of money that comes into the plan on a monthly basis, but then it is also spent out of the checking option on a constant basis. Does anybody have any questions on this?
So what are the total assets under management, either at the end of May, or I don't know if we have an updated number right now?
Yep, it is in here. So let me take a look. Oops, sorry. Just takes me a couple minutes to get that grant, but I do have that. So for total assets in the plan as of May 31st, it is $2.1 million in assets. I can also start adding that total to this report.
Yes, please.
No problem.
All right, any other questions? Thank you, Dawn.
No problem. Thank you.
So I will let Christy and Joe kind of know what we've kind of ran into in a very high level, and then I'm going to turn it over to Dave to kind of dig into it a little bit. We were notified, Fran, in like February, March, with the Department of Children and Family Services, with the accounts that we set up with them, that they came to us asking about fees that were being charged on the account, which triggered us to kind of look into that a little bit more. And we found out that there were some irregularities on the fees that were charged. At that time, we went back to a census and had them go and investigate and get us a little bit more information so that we could come to the board and explain what happened, what we were going to do to resolve it, and how we were going to move forward. So we're at that point, and that was a quick high-level overview, but I'm going to let Dave kind of dig in and discuss that as we move forward.
Yeah, thank you, Grant. And Richard, you can provide some color as well. First of all, Fran, thank you for all that assistance over the last week or so, couple weeks probably. We've been going back and forth on getting resolution. We're getting pretty close to the point of sending the letters out. We do want to do a deeper dive. We also want to treat those DCSF accounts separately. Thanks for the notation this morning. The one issue before I start diving into the history, we had a conversation this morning internally, and one of the things we talked about was who the letter should go to. I think the mail merge that we sent was to account owners, but I think we want to maybe change that to the interested party. Am I saying interested party correct, Don?
Authorized individual.
Authorized individual. See, I'm on 529. Some of our 529s. Authorized individual. So, Fran, would you have any issue if we change that to authorized individual? The authorized individual is the person who receives the quarterly statements.
No, I think that would be appropriate. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So now I think we can go ahead and make that change, and then we will we'll send those over for a final review.
Dave, for the sake of Christy and Joe, or I'll be happy to do it, but just I want to give, they don't know what happened.
Okay. Yeah,
I'll go around it. And bottom line, Christy and Joe, is it was uncovered. We discovered that people who were Arkansas residents who should have been receiving that $1.25 reduction and not be charged that for the maintenance fee for over the course of almost a year were erroneously charged that maintenance fee. And granted, we're not talking huge sums of money for any one individual, but the bottom line is, we're being very, regardless of the amount, the issue is that this is an audience that we are especially committed to, and anything that remotely raises a red flag is not good for anybody, but particularly this audience. So it was one of those situations where the more we uncovered it, the more we uncovered. And so I'm going to hand it over to and we also were figuring out that this wasn't just in our state, that there were other states that this was happening in. So we put a lot of pressure on a census to figure it out, give us a timeline, what happened, how did it happen, and they have been reporting back to us on all that. But the bottom line is systems have been put in place so that this does not happen again.
That's correct.
So with that, I'll hand it over.
Thanks, Fran. Yeah, ultimately what happened was when there's a flag in the system when the plan was set up that should have been checked, that would waive that fee. It wasn't checked. It didn't come to our notice, and when I say our, I mean Census as a whole, and really the call center and the tech group until May of last year. So, and the account that brought it to the forefront was an account where the authorized individual resided in the state of Arkansas. The account owner did not reside in the state of Arkansas. So they looked at that as a one-off, as just a once issue that needed to be addressed for one account. They didn't escalate it to the broader audience. The call center handled it with tech. Tech did an adjustment on that account, and it stopped there. So that was May of 2020. So then at some point down the road, tech did discover that the flag wasn't checked. They made the correction. It looks like the correction for the entire plan was done on July 17th of 2020. But tech didn't come out and tell the rest of the group that, hey, there was an issue here. We corrected it for the entire platform by checking the box. And that's where the communication broke down with us. You should have been immediately notified that this issue had been discovered across the entire plan, and we were seeking remedy at that point. So fast forward to 2021, March 19th, we received notification from Chris, I believe the email came from you, that there was an issue with those accounts. And that's when we began to do the deep dive and discover what had happened back last year. So it should never have taken this long to discover that issue. We certainly apologize for that. And that as we said, or as I said earlier, that was corrected back in July of last year. It's just, we didn't notify you guys that the correction was made. That's certainly something that we should have acted on. So in the remedy, as I was saying earlier, and again, thanks to Fran for all the feedback on the letter, is that we're prepared to send the letter out to some, I think there's 101 DCFS participants. We're going to send one letter to DCFS to cover those 100. And then the other 300 or so accounts will be sent individual letters with a notification that we're going to credit their account if the account is still open. And if the account is closed, we'll send them a check. These won't be huge checks, but we're going to go through the process of making sure that this is corrected. So any questions on that process or any issues with that process?
Do we have the average refund, for lack of a better term?
Sure. Yeah, Don, do you have that number at your fingertips? It's not we're not talking lots of money here, but that's not the point.
Yeah. $3.06 is the average.
So Joe, Christy, do you all have any questions?
Yeah, hey, this is Joe, and this can go to anybody for a response. I know we were probably briefed this way back when we started this down this road, but what audit processes are in place to review these accounts on a recurring basis? I just can't remember.
Yeah, I can take that one. My name is Rich Da Silva. I'm the relationship manager for the National Able Alliance, for those that don't know me. So thank you for having me at the meeting. The issue here specifically is, as Dave referenced, is a setup issue. So when the plan was first set up, there's a very simple box that you either check or don't check that either waives or doesn't waive the out-of-state fees. And it should have been checked and it wasn't checked, or it was checked and it shouldn't have been checked, or vice versa. I'm getting it. I may have getting it reversed here, but either way, there is an audit process in place that the implementation managers need to go through step by step to make sure that all these checks are in place. Somebody missed it. So as a result, there's going to be an additional checkpoint when a state does add. And thankfully, in this case, it's not an ongoing audit that's required because it was corrected in July of 2020, as Dave referenced. But as we add states to the alliance, and Michigan is a good example, as you folks know, Michigan is going to be joining the alliance. In this instance, we have an extra control in place to make sure they're looking at that box. So we have an email that says we're waiving out-of-state fees or we're not waiving out-of-state fees. And then they go back, they go and look at the fund setup, or I should say the setup for the plan. to ensure that that box is either appropriately checked or not checked. So you're right. I mean, it was missed. It was our mistake. Thankfully, we're talking small dollar amounts, and it was corrected in July. But we need to make these account owners and authorized individuals whole as a result. And we certainly appreciate your patience in allowing us to kind of navigate through this together. So, does that answer your question, Joe?
It does. And so I assume that training for the users or the folks that are setting up these accounts can also go to address that as well?
Yes, absolutely. There's been additional training. There's been an additional kind of line item that goes in that checklist when they're reviewing a plan setup as a result of this error. And, Fran had mentioned this happened with other states. It did happen with DC also, was the other state. And they had a similar result. I think there were maybe a couple of hundred accounts. I don't remember exactly offhand. And similar dollar amounts, but it was a similar time frame, similar situation where the setup wasn't correctly done. That we subsequently have gone to check the other 17 states to make sure that they're accurately set up, and they are. So, these are two isolated and unfortunate incidents. But nonetheless, we've taken steps to make sure that this is all mitigated moving forward.
Okay, I appreciate that, and I appreciate the remedy as well. Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other questions on this issue? So we intend to get these letters sent out next week. We just want to make sure that the quality review is complete before we send it out. Is that timing okay? Any issues with that timing?
Yes, and just to clarify too for Christy and Joe, when we put all the pieces together, Grant and Chris and I had a direct phone call Zoom meeting with the DCFS folks so they are aware of this. It was a very encouraging phone call, and they accepted our apologies and were in favor of the remedy as well, Joe. And so they will be receiving, and I think Dave alluded to this, we're going to follow up with just one letter to them that has a spreadsheet of the 103 or the clients who were affected. And then, but we felt like that definitely deserved a face-to-face. And so we did that with them.
Thank you. I was about to ask that about the DCFS, since that's a very sensitive population.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
So the letter will go out, and then we'll follow up with the physical checks where that is appropriate. And I think Rich, we're talking about a 4 or 5 day time frame in between the letter and the checks going out, or the redeposit into the account.
Yeah, that's about right. I think we had talked about 3 days, but obviously we want the letters to arrive before the corrections are done electronically and the checks are received. So 3 or 4 days. We'll work with our mailroom to make sure they know better than we do in terms of the timing and so forth as far as what is appropriate.
For any checks that come back, obviously we're a very fluid society. Yes. People move. What systems do you have in place for the returned mail and those checks?
Yeah, so that's a good question. And particularly for the closed accounts, we're really concerned,
right,
obviously, with the personally identifiable information that could be sent out in these envelopes. So what we do is we have our compliance department go through and use LexisNexis to make sure we have the updated address for the individuals so that we know we're sending it to the right place. This is what we went through with DC. We did not have, to my knowledge, and Dawn, you may know differently, but to my knowledge, we did not have any returned checks or correspondences in the DC situation. So we knew with the closed accounts, and I think there were fewer than there were with Arkansas, but there were none returned, so we knew we had the addresses correct. But it's spot on with the thought and the question, because we had the same concern.
Yep. And if they do get returned after we've done all our due diligence, we will have our call center folks reach out to them to try to ensure that we have a correct address or even to get a correct updated address. When they do these outcalls, they also request that the person they're talking to goes through a security check. Like anytime that we make anytime they call into us. So there will be a security check done prior to releasing any info over the phone.
All right, any other questions? So, obviously we are all very sensitive to this and making sure that with this population, we maintain trust and are just very transparent with the operations and with their money. So that's, we're working on that, making sure that any information that goes out to them is just very explanatory and transparent in the process. With that, I would ask, is there any other new business that needs to come before the board? All right, the only thing I have is looking at our next regularly scheduled quarterly board meeting. I just want to kind of get a sense from the group. It naturally would occur in August, so I think we're looking at August 24th. But is there a comfort level with doing that in person? I guess
Hey, this is Joe. I'm good with that. I'm vaccinated. I'm good.
All right, Christy, how about you?
I'm good with that.
Okay, so we will lean to that. Obviously, for our census folks, Dave, if you're able to travel by then, love to have you. Dawn, same thing. But if not, obviously we can set up the Zoom and have you all zoomed into the conference room.
One question. Would it be possible to have it the same day that we do the 529 committee meeting?
It just depends, honestly, on my schedule.
Just to understand.
On how, if we can, yeah, I think it would be good to try to do it. But I have to balance mine and the treasurer's schedule to see doing both of those meetings. But yeah, I will attempt to make them on the same day if possible.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Anything?
Hey, Grant.
Yeah, Joe.
Sorry about that. By the way, I just pay attention to my schedule a little closer. I've got a federal grant monitoring visit for 2 weeks in August, the 16th through the 27th. I am totally blocked off those 2 weeks. So just so you know, but in and around that, we've already made our preparations. I can meet.
Okay.
So wait, does that mean you're not available for those 2 weeks, Joe?
Right.
Yes, and I don't have a proxy really to send to that. But yeah, 16th through the 27th, I am knee deep in federal monitoring.
Okay.
All
So,
right. And Fran, you and Joe were talking something about in 2 weeks. Like, what was that?
oh, he and I were gonna visit. I want to just meet him and learn more about what he does and his group. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So with that, thank y'all for your time and for your guidance as we navigate the able world. If you need anything in the meantime, obviously Fran's always available and ready to assist you. Census, thank you folks. And if there's no other business, all right, I say we stand adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Bye, Christy. Bye, Joe.
Bye.
Bye.